Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com. We have a great show today, but before we get to that, I wanted to remind you of a few things. We have 2 great books on Amazon that will help you get the Big Four job that you deserve, and I've included links to those books in the show notes. Additionally, I wanted to remind everyone to make sure that they subscribe to this podcast to stay up to date on the latest Big Four news and career tips. Also, make sure to share the show with a friend if you get a chance. Lastly, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'll include links to all our social media in the show notes. Thanks and enjoy the show. Today I wanted to go over some updates on this KPMG South Africa scandal as it continues to ramp up. As you might remember, there was a corrupt family in South Africa that committed fraud and stole taxpayer money. And KPMG got wrapped up with this family and signed off on reports that what this family, called the Gupta family, was doing was okay. Now, KPMG later retracted their reports and said that they were mistakes, and they fired several employees over this scandal. Several things that happened over the past week that are worth noting, and I wanted to go over. First is that the Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors has started an investigation into KPMG. And they will be investigating various issues regarding KPMG, such as KPMG allowing the Gupta family to deduct wedding expenses as a business expense, among other issues. The Independent Regulatory Board for Auditors is similar to the PCAOB in America, and the head of the board met with KPMG's new executive, Nalmu Delamu. Nalmu Delamu is the new executive at KPMG who will be in charge of cleaning up the mess. And she said that she is willing to do whatever it takes to restore KPMG's reputation in the region. She said that the corruption committed by KPMG doesn't only show weaknesses in KPMG, but in the auditing profession at large. I'm not sure what she's trying to get at there. I hope she's not trying to say that she's going to solve the auditing profession's problems. She needs to focus on KPMG's problems first. But the audit by the IRBA in South Africa isn't the only investigation she's dealing with. She also has to deal with the investigation by KPMG's international group and the investigation from the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants. And the equivalent of South Africa's IRS is also investigating KPMG. But in addition to multiple investigations, KPMG South Africa's new CEO will also have to deal with the loss of more clients. KPMG has lost additional clients in South Africa over the past week. Munich Re dropped KPMG in Africa as their auditor, and this was just announced on October 2nd, 2017. Munich Re is one of the largest reinsurance companies in the world. So this is another huge client lost by KPMG. As you remember in the previous podcast that we covered, that KPMG had already lost clients as a result of this scandal. And this comes after many other firms in South Africa have already fired KPMG as their auditors. And the Federal Reserve Bank in Africa has cautioned companies from firing KPMG as their auditor, as KPMG is one of only 4 large audit firms remaining in the world. Another thing that happened is that a university also dropped KPMG as their accountant. Now, which university is a university in South Africa that severed ties with KPMG, as they said they could not stand for the wrongs committed by KPMG in South Africa. And now KPMG just did a couple simple things like an internal audit review for them. But still, all these people that had KPMG, even if it's only for small engagements, are just dropping them. They don't want to be associated with KPMG, and they view KPMG as this corrupt entity who helped corrupt individuals perpetrate their fraud. So all these people are trying to get rid of KPMG. And additionally, the South African Parliament said that they are also cutting ties with KPMG. And KPMG audited the government's medical plans, and that's what the Parliament is preventing KPMG from doing now. They won't let KPMG audit the medical plans anymore. But this isn't the only thing that KPMG might lose from the Parliament. The Parliament said they are reviewing other work performed by KPMG as well. In conclusion, this has been another tough week for KPMG in South Africa, as they are wrapped up in more investigation and losing more clients. KPMG's very existence in the country is in jeopardy, and they have regulators urging clients not to drop them, which is bad. This leaves me wondering if it is possible that another Big Four could go under, similar to what happened to Arthur Andersen during the Enron scandal. And we discussed this on a previous podcast about what the world would look like without the Big Four. So make sure to check that out, and I'll try and include the link in the show notes. But I think the possibility of a Big Four going under is at least very possible in South Africa. And I think it might happen here as KPMG is hemorrhaging clients and the reputation is systematically being destroyed, not only by the loss of clients, but the government and investigations coming out saying that what KPMG did was terrible, and more information keeps coming out that is unfavorable to KPMG. Well, that's all we have for today. I wanted to thank you for listening. To stay up to date on all the Big Four news, make sure to subscribe to this podcast. We are a growing podcast and a growing business, and we'd appreciate your help in growing. So if you could share this podcast with a friend and give us a good review on iTunes, we'd really appreciate that, as it would help us grow and provide you with the best Big Four content and career tips possible. Thanks and have a great day.